Marginal to Mainstream is about connecting farmers, graziers with new approaches to grazing management.
The project's put together to help teach people and at the same time give them experience and at the same time give them the support of what's actually changing or not changing in the paddocks. We will at times be looking after animals more than land and other times land more than animals, but at the same time we more of the time are looking after both by individual treatment for individual paddocks and almost always making sure the animals are getting the best out of it all the way through.
I think this needed to happen because there was and is some graziers seeking a different philosophical bent or way of doing things.
There's a massive change that's occurring here, and we've got to keep the wobble in the ball to keep it on the roll. To me, what I can see is the ability for the sun to get in here, and I can see some opportunity for that. I can see that the water getting in here would now be potentially more available to food producing plants than it was. The next thing is that when there is any growth in here with the sunlight, well, we should be able to hold that plant longer in terms of its productivity to give us more energy to capture off that bit of country. And then in terms of the minerals, well, we had all that old dry bracken standing around that wasn't going anywhere. That's been now removed out of the aerial side, been put down, and a lot of that has ended up in the soil. So we've got a bit of a bottleneck of minerals that's been released maybe into the situation for us to use. So thinking about it that way, what's my next step? What's my next opportunity? I think my next opportunity here is to get the grassland portion of it operating better. So I would say that it's a lot closer to moving to cage grazing than a year ago. It seems to me that there's heaps of these little baby wallaby grasses everywhere. And what's interesting to me is the last time we dug into this, we found it very wet and then very dry the first time, but we found very distinct lines in it. And look at this roots going through there now. So the main observation that we've seen underground is the root development actually being able to go down to 12 odd centimetres now, holding that soil together and being soft and friable all the way down through that 12 centimetres. The previous records that were measured here was that it would be impenetrable after about 8 centimetres, and after all that extra grazing we've got a covered soil and one that's softer to work with next season. One of the big things that we were facing with this paddock was the old unutilised grey plant material in each tuft. So we've had good utilisation, we've opened it up, we've got some lateral movement now. There's been disturbance on the moss, whether there's less of it or more of it we're not really sure, but we can see where it's been moved off patches. The moisture's gone right through, this is all available, this is going to grow nicely now. Everything here that grows this next season will be more nutritious, have less lignin per mouthful, more protein and better for stock. So if we can now from here utilise these paddocks with recovery periods which allow those plants to actually get up and produce some bulk, we will have more kilograms of usable high quality feed to put through stock. That's the one side of it, and then having done that, it'll give us the opportunity to create litter to cover soil with, because we may need, that may be a way to get the moss to not be so healthy, is to actually cover it with organic matter. Well, we've got a choice really of going a really long-winded route of grazing management with a cage to improve it. And there's no doubt that you can. It just takes a long time. Those people who've done it have seen that. We could speed that up by utilising some of the practices which Tom's already proved slightly low down the slope with the pasture cropping. And that may well be the quickest route to change the high value country to get the greatest return for the least effort, basically. It's had this rain on it now, but it's still really dry just below that root zone where it's very difficult to get the water into, obviously. And then once that's done, move it to a little bit of priority grazing, maybe just letting the plants get a little bit taller each time before you return to it, so that it's an advantage not just to the annuals that are in there, but to the perennials as well that are already here. Because that's really what we need to do, is encourage these perennials that are here to get into the ground a bit deeper and get the whole soil profile into productivity, I think.
One of the valuable things about this project has been having a whole lot of other sets of eyes and brains on the place, and it's not just me rattling around wondering what to do next. I am very keen on building on any momentum that we've managed to develop.
The biggest change at Tom's is that he's utilising that farm properly. So as soon as you start to utilise it, well, then the land has something to do and it becomes animal orientated. The country becomes orientated to that, the soils do, and the vibrancy that's there now because it's being utilised is wonderful.